Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we have the start of a sort of a new mini-series, if you like. The other day I done a community post saying I was really short on ideas for videos, and something which a lot of you guys were asking about was the potential for United to play in different formations, maybe the 4-4-2 diamond, the 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, whatever. So today we're going to look at one of those shapes, and maybe as part of a new series, we can look at United in different systems. So today we're discussing the 4-4-2 diamond. Maybe you guys can get in the comments down below and let me know some other shapes you would like me to look into. But today it will be the 4-4-2 diamond. And the reason that we're going to be looking at this shape is for two main reasons. One reason being United have a bit of a crisis on the right wing at the moment due to off-field issues. United have a lack of natural right wingers, apart from Facundo Pellistri and Amad Diallo. Amad is injured. Ten Hag doesn't seem to trust Facundo from the start of games, so United do have a right wing issue. But the other reason that this is a potential shape which United could use in the future is because Ten Hag has used it before, back in his early days as Utrecht manager. Here we can see the 4-4-2 diamond. We've got that diamond in the middle of the park here, where the deepest midfielder has dropped deep between the centre-backs, the full-backs are pushed forward. This was Ten Hag's 4-4-2 diamond. So before we discuss how it would work for United specifically, we need to talk about actually what are the strengths and the weaknesses of the 4-4-2 diamond. And I think it's quite clear with this particular structure, so we will start with the strengths. One of the major strengths of the 4-4-2 diamond is the ability to play the ball out from the back. Thanks to the fact that you have this pivot midfielder in front of the defence who can drop in deep and allow you to play out in different shapes, whether that be a fullback, inverting, a centre-back stepping into midfield if you've got a good ball-playing goalkeeper. There's plenty of potential for rotations and different structures in the build-up phase. The big strength, though, quite clearly, is that you have 4 players in the centre of the park. Most teams line up with either 2 or 3 central midfielders. These days we are seeing more box shapes in football, but even the diamond has an advantage over the box shape from an attacking point of view because of the angles which it creates. So that's the big benefit of the 4-4-2 diamond. It means that a lot of teams, when you use this shape, you can go from a centre-back to your high midfielder and then kind of play this backwards set-off pass to your deepest player and then play from there. That's something which the 4-4-2 diamond is really good at doing. It's also good at giving your full-backs attacking freedom and license to get forward and join the attack. So the left back can bomb forward to provide the width down that side. The right back can bomb forward down the right-hand side to provide the width. You also get a good amount of freedom for your 2 central midfielders in these positions here. They're able to sometimes move wide, sometimes move really narrow, and depending on the game, you can adjust their positioning. Sometimes you might want them wider, like this, but at other times you might want them really compact. And the other advantage of the shape is the fact that you have a player in this 10 position, in the quote cam position, which is a horrible term, but you can have a player in this sort of area, in zone 14, on the edge of the penalty area, who can be a true creator. And then you have the benefit of a front 2 strikers. Something which we don't see too much of in football these days, but it's always good to see a 2-striker system. It allows players to run into channels, link up and work with each other once they've got a good understanding. Those are the real benefits of the 4-4-2 diamond. So now let's try and imagine United in that structure, in the 4-4-2 shape with that diamond in the middle of the park. How does it work for United, and would it work for United? Well, initially, high attacking fullbacks, it suits the signing of Reguilon. Coming in on loan from Spurs in the summer, Reguilon is a player which likes to bomb forward, so he would be suited to a 4-4-2 diamond, as would Luke Shaw when he is back from injury. On the right hand side, there isn't as much of a natural fit. Wan-Bissaka or Dalot don't necessarily suit it. However, I still think both of them would benefit from being given attacking freedom, because Wan-Bissaka, for example, isn't a deep progressive player, so maybe he would benefit from being moved further forward. The extra numbers in the middle of the park, in the midfield 4, would kind of take up some of the slack which is currently kind of there in the midfield. We all have questions over the balance. Maybe if you literally put another midfielder in there, the balance becomes better. It's a way to get Casemiro, Amrabat, Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes in the same side. The orientation of Fernandes and Mount could change, although I'd imagine Mount would be the deeper one, but Amrabat and Casemiro also could swap, whether that be on a game-to-game basis, they play different roles, or literally during a match we could see the two of them swapping. It also, importantly though, gets Bruno Fernandes in zone 14. The area where we know he is so good. He's one of the best creative midfielders in the world, in my opinion. He is so good from these positions. His creative numbers, his creative levels are absolutely outrageous. And now he has 2 strikers in front of him. Rasmus Højlund is a proper number 9. So Bruno Fernandes could develop that partnership and that link up but also it gives Marcus Rashford the ability to kind of roam out of position. He's not playing wide as a left winger, he's not playing as a number 9, he's got this little bit of freedom to move into different areas. So, on paper, there's definitely potential where I think this could work. However, at the same time, there are weaknesses. One thing which I don't like about the 4-4-2 diamond shape is that your fullbacks provide the width. I don't mind it on one side, it's still not ideal, but it's okay, you can work with it. 2 fullbacks providing the width just isn't ideal, and the reason for that is because they just aren't as natural in terms of dribbling, in terms of creating, as what wingers are. If I'm a fullback, would I rather face Reguilon or Marcus Rashford? I would rather face Reguilon because he's not as much of an attacking threat. If I'm a left back, would I rather face Aaron Wan-Bissaka providing the width or a true right winger? Again, it's quite obvious. I would rather Wan-Bissaka. So that would maybe be a slight concern that these players don't suit these systems. As a result, United wouldn't have that much natural width and it'd be quite hard to pin the opposition back. Now, what we mean by pinning is, let's just quickly put the opposition back 4 in. When you push players nice and high, it stops players from coming out and engaging the ball. So if you play with wide wingers, let's imagine these are wingers, it stops the opposition fullback from coming out and engaging the ball higher up the pitch. However, if Wan-Bissaka and Reguilon are starting a little bit deeper, then it does give room for these fullbacks to be a bit more aggressive and step forward. So again, United lack the natural ability to pin players. And again, that comes from the lack of width, which would be a concern. Another concern would be on the counter-attack defensively. United aren't great at defending the counter-attack at the best of times. Pushing the 2 fullbacks forward and leaving these massive spaces either side of the centre-back would be a big concern. And then finally, the pressing structure isn't completely ideal in a 4-4-2 diamond. There's times when it can work, but typically because you only have 2 players on the front line, it makes it difficult to apply pressure. So, I don't think a traditional 4-4-2 diamond would actually suit this current United side. And not only that, but I don't think it would suit the current meta, if you like, in the Premier League. This might therefore make you think that United should completely abandon any idea of a 4-4-2 diamond, and everyone in the comments saying it is maybe a bit daft. But I don't think that is the case. I just think a natural 4-4-2 diamond perhaps doesn't work. But what if you play a bit more of a hybrid diamond? So you're not playing a full-out 4-4-2 diamond, you're making tweaks. So for example, we're keeping some of the basics of the diamond. Reguilon at left back, or Luke Shaw when he's fit, can still bomb forward and can be our width provider down the left-hand side. I don't mind that too much. But perhaps, to protect the centre-back on the counter-attack, we keep the other full-back a little bit deeper. Preferably Dalot, just because he's better for his passing and his progressive ability from these areas. But instantly, United have a bit more protection from the counter-attack. We can also take that one step further. Rather than having these 2 midfielders so free and so high up the pitch like this, maybe we could keep one of them a little bit deeper, perhaps Casemiro, like so. So now we're building that 3-2 shape, which we see so many teams around Europe using at the moment, and there's a reason so many teams use it, because it's a really good shape, it's a really good system. And not only does it allow you to build possession well, but also defend counterattacks much better. So we've started off with our 4-4-2 diamond, but we're just making some little tweaks. It could even at times become a 3-3. For example, you could have Amrabat, Casemiro and Mason Mount playing in this sort of area. You could push Bruno Fernandes a bit higher and wider into this sort of zone, because we know United need width on the right hand side. Bruno has played this area before. Suddenly, this shape doesn't look too bad. The other option we could see is that the right-sided central midfielder is pushed a little bit higher, like this. So now we've got our slightly deeper, kind of slightly off-balance 3-2 shape like this, which we have seen teams use in the past. And then we've got Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount rotating in these areas here. So at times Mason Mount is popping up, providing a width on the right hand side, whilst Bruno Fernandes is in the middle, but also they can both swap. And that would actually work really well, because both of these players have played in the 10 position before, but have also had success on the right wing as well. So in that way, it could actually suit these two really well to kind of play these positions where they've got a bit of freedom, a bit of ability to develop an understanding, a dynamic between the two of them. That could be quite nice. This system also still allows Rasmus Højlund to play as a true number 9, but as we said earlier, it gives Marcus Rashford a little bit of freedom to move about the pitch. And what we're almost creating here, at times, is a sort of a 3-2-1-4 shape, which looks a little bit like this. Now, this shape would still obviously have weaknesses. The left back providing the width on the left hand side all the time still isn't completely ideal. I'm still not a big fan. And Mason Mount, of course, isn't a natural right winger, someone who's constantly going to take a fullback on. Now, of course, this would leave United without true, real wide players to attack people, but it's still better than the traditional 4-4-2 diamond. We still have greater attacking width in this way. Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount would really be key to this system. They would need to develop an understanding between the two of them, an understanding, a dynamic of when one of them moves wide, when one of them moves a little bit narrower, but you could see them starting to pull opposition players out a little bit. If you're building possession in these deeper areas like this, and you kind of start off with more of this diamond shape in midfield, perhaps Bruno Fernandes drops a little bit deeper into this area as Mason Mount moves wider, it just pulls these opposition midfielders into different positions because they're not sure who they're meant to be pressing. This perhaps is when you can then get players in little pockets of space and create something. Down the left hand side as well, I think the dynamic would be really good. Marcus Rashford is super good in this area. It gives him the potential to sometimes play wide, sometimes come inside, sometimes be more of a target man or more of a striker, I should say, get into these dangerous areas. It gives him a lot of freedom. And I think he is probably the player that would benefit the most from playing in a 4-4-2 diamond. I think it would really suit him. I also think it would suit Amrabat and Bruno Fernandes. I think those two in particular would really benefit from this system. Amrabat being important in the build-up phase, kind of dropping deep, dictating the play. Bruno Fernandes being given that creative freedom, but also that positional freedom to move into different areas. I think it would suit several different players. It also arguably suits Rasmus Højlund because he can move into the channels, which we know he likes to do. We saw it in his debut, but also at the same time he can be a number 9. There's certainly ways in which it could work. For all of those reasons, I think it's completely accurate or completely reasonable for you guys to suggest a 4-4-2 diamond as you have been commenting in recent videos. I've seen several people saying that this could be a potential solution, and I absolutely agree it could be, because the 4-4-2 diamond is a super flexible formation. It's very easy from the diamond shape to move to a 4-2-3-1 or to a 4-3-3, even to a 3-4-3 or even a 3-5-2. You just have to make small tweaks in positioning, and quickly during a game you have about 40 different formations you can use, just by moving players a few yards in a different direction. So that's why the 4-4-2 diamond does have a lot of potential and could be really good. However, personally I wouldn't recommend it for United just because I don't think it gives United enough in modern day football. I think in modern day football teams are so good defensively that you do need a bit of 1 versus 1 ability out wide. I'm not sure that this system really brings that to United. Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, they're good in these areas. They can play wide, but they are not wingers. And of course, the same for the left back on the other side. I just don't think it quite works for this team. But absolutely, I understand why you guys have suggested it. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Ten Hag use this shape. I don't think he would use it in the same way in which he did in the past, earlier on in his career, because I don't think it suits this United side. But with this sort of hybrid shape, almost turning into a 3-2-1-4 at times, overloading several key areas of the pitch, it could be a system which United use. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Would you like to see Ten Hag experimenting with this 4-4-2 diamond? Would you do it in the way in which I have suggested in this video, or would you do it a little bit differently? Perhaps Casemiro dropping between the centre-backs, both fullbacks pushing forward, or perhaps a fullback inverting into midfield, Rashford wider. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and also let me know some other shapes you would like me to look at. But apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.